Hey and welcome to map 6 of Shrapnel City in Duke Nukem 3D, and as you can see we start the level pretty much where we ended the last one. There's been a bit of an earthquake, so we can't really go back that way. Fun fact, if you played this in the original executable, you could die in these doors, and it happened to me quite a lot because you get sort of squished between the door and the wall, and the game would just kill you straight away. So, you know, kind of glad that that doesn't happen anymore. Now I actually do like the opening part here. It's actually pretty interesting to see this kind of subway station with the little shop here. And as you can see, we head down here, we can actually head into the station itself, which is fairly well detailed. You know, lots of little vending machines here, lots of things for us to see. There's a secret here somewhere. I know the switch is around. There it is. So we go inside, we can get the Hollow Duke. You can see there are trains there making their way around, but we're going to ignore that for now. There's a secret here of a chain gun. Obviously we want to grab that, but we don't want to get blown up in the process. So someone's obviously booby-trapped the entrance to the trains there. If we hit the till here, there's actually a night vision goggle there which we can grab. That'll actually be very useful later in the level. So what I really like about this level is that it had a vision and it executes it to the best it can do, and I really like the implementation of these trains here. It is actually a fun little loop here where you can kind of explore this whole area because it is kind of enclosed in this one subway system. So I'm just going to quickly look to see if there's any goodies around. There is. So there are goodies on some of these trains. Now we're not actually going to jump on one of these trains here, we're actually going to run right after it, because if you run on the tracks here you can actually grab a weapon there, which is pretty nice. We need the Devastator for later on. There's a bunch of enemies at this station here, so you've kind of got to be careful as you're kind of taking all these out. You've also got to be careful of the trains as they're coming around, because they will squish you if you kind of get in the way. You can see there's a bunch of enemies sort of in stasis waiting for us. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump up here and we're going to take all of these guys down. Now I do love the lighting here. I think that the use of lighting here is very creative, because it kind of makes this space feel a bit, you know, dark and dingy. It makes it feel a bit sort of like you don't want to be here for too long. It's very nice use of lighting, and as you can see the trains do kind of move on a loop, so you've kind of got to time your movements with them. But I always thought it was really cool that this kind of feels like a little subway loop, and it feels like you are actually transporting around like underneath a city, so it is pretty nice. Now if we use the blue key here, we actually open up this station front, and there's a bunch of pig cops around here which we're going to be just taking care of. So you can see even the enemies are in danger of dying from underneath the trains there. There's a secret there which obviously we want to grab. All these posters here kind of showing off the world building here. We're going to blow that up. Once you blow that up, these octobrains show up for a bit of fun. So I did open up this secret here. This is a weird little alien sort of space. Unfortunately the women here are kind of being, well, whatever you want to imagine they're being done. Nothing much we can do to help them, but we can take out the aliens that spawned when we walked in there. And you can see one just came through that crack in the wall there. So yeah, we accidentally triggered him by accident, so let's get rid of him. So you've got to be very careful here, because if you start walking up the steps here, a battle lord actually spawns behind you and it'll mince you, because it appears and then it just starts shooting instantly. There is also a second battle lord just at the top of the stairs there. Let's see. You can kind of see him there. So I've triggered him by using the freeze ray on him. You chose the worst moment there to get in my way. just want to see if we can freeze him. We have done. Nice. So the red key is there. Now it's very important that you do not go back down the stairs here unless you're prepared, because as you can see, Battlelord shows up and instantly starts shooting at us. Now, I really don't want to waste the ammo on this thing, so I'm just going to leg it. Now, unfortunately, I don't think it actually gets squished by the trains here. I think it actually just gets put onto one of the trains, which is pretty funny. We're going to use the red key card here. You can see that it's actually on the train there, which is pretty funny. I don't actually think it was meant to end up on the train like that, but, you know, let's go with it. So this is the final area here. It's a bit of a weird area, I have to say. It does not really go with the rest of the level, in my opinion, but it's a fun space because it's got this water spot and it's got this battle lord in the middle. Luckily, we can use the shrink ray from under the water there to take out the battle lord. But I can hear him shooting at me. Where is he? Is he up there? No. Oh god, he's actually down here. Wow, okay. So he must have come in this hole after I'd opened it up. Giggity. So you can see, by blowing a hole in the wall there, we can actually get back into the transit system pretty easily. And by walking along the top here, it actually opens up this bookcase here. There's a few enemies inside, but nothing too shocking. As you can see, it's marked as a secret. If you blow that lady up there though, these Octo Brains show up because they're not too thrilled with us. Again, I'm not quite sure about the end of this level. I feel like it's a bit out of sync with the rest of the level, because the rest of the level's very much focused on like being a subway and a subway system. And then you have this, which is kind of like, okay, I'm sure that this is a reference to something, or someone who lives in like a US metropolitan city can explain to me what this is, but I do like Rabid Transit. I think it's a fun little level. It's got a nice little core concept that both is helpful and can hinder if you're not too careful. I think it also helps that it's not too long, but it is pretty difficult from a pistol start, I have to say, because it is very easy to kind of get overwhelmed by all those battle lords. But overall, solid level, very fun to play through and quite memorable. However, it's worth just saying up front, we're going to be talking a lot about the N64 version of this level, because the N64 version of this level goes hard, and you'll see what I mean as we make our way through the level. So the opening part here isn't too different, but if you're kind of eagle-eyed, you'll have spotted that door over there behind where that enemy we were shooting. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. So the intention here is to kill all the pig cops here. You can see this is very much the same space. It looks near enough identical, except for the fact that the train tracks out there are not as colourful. So that's one thing that didn't make it into this version. So we're going to blow these up here. So as we head down here, this is a new area, and you can see that there's a staircase here. You can also see there's a little room here with a med kit in, which obviously we're going to grab. So you can see that this leads to an area that's kind of suffered an earthquake, and we'll be exploring that as we kind of head further into the level here. But I just want to kind of show that they've used this area as kind of a base to build their own interpretation of this level, and I am here for it. Because for me, it's fun when sort of developers kind of take the ideas from a base level and they kind of build upon them. So as we head out here, you can see this is actually a ticket office. So, and there's a nice little poster there. And so when we head out here, there's a whole new station for us to kind of come out to. So you can see there's a train in front of us blocking our way. But as we kind of make our way out here, you'll recognise that this is actually where the blue key card was used in the PC version. So it's the same basic idea, but it's been reinterpreted, and I like that because it gives even returning players something to kind of get their teeth into, because they're experiencing something new here. And as we make our way to the top of the train here, you can see this isn't just like a showpiece, this isn't just like here to be seen. You can actually explore this train, which is really cool. So you can walk along the top of it here, which is fine by itself, but the real interesting thing here is that if you jump over here, you can see that's where we go back to where we were. You can actually go into the subway cart, and you can kind of admire sort of the subway cart from the inside, which is really cool. There's a lot of attention to detail here. A jetpack there, the advertisements, the poles that you hold on to, the seats, the sort of dividers between the carriages. It's so cool, and they really didn't need to put all this detail in, but here it is, and it really adds to this level, and it doesn't stop here, believe it or not. So let's kill that. I'm going to grab the night vision goggles here because we will be needing these in a bit.
Ruby.
So you can see that instead of kind of going round in a circle, this actually sort of just goes down the tracks to the next station. So there's a hole there which we'll obviously be looking at later on. Now, I'm going to geek out here now, because one thing I love in these retro first-person shooters is when you go to a level and you get to look back on previous levels. It's something that a lot of WOD designers and these level designers don't really implement all that much into the levels. But as you can see, we're going into the toilets here. This level, for some reason, they just decided, what if we added this to the level? So you can look outside here and you're like, this might look a bit familiar. It's actually E1M2, which is Gun Crazy / Red Light District. And it's really cool to me that the developers of this port came in and went, we want to build this world so it feels like you're revisiting this much later on. And it's so cool to see like these two levels just kind of being put together like this. There's no reason why they should be put together like this, but it just kind of makes this world feel that much more complete and that much more kind of integrated. And it's cool because if you go to Gun Crazy and come and look through the fences there, you can see the station. So you can look into this level before you even know that this is going to be a level in the future. It's just a really nice attention to detail. Speaking of attention to detail, this is a nice little car park area. We get ambushed by all these enemies as we pick up the blue key, so obviously we're just going to make sure we don't get sort of overrun there. It's a nice little space this. You can't really leave anywhere but through the crack in the wall there. I will say one negative slightly is that the crack in the wall is kind of hard to spot. You really have to be looking for it, otherwise you'll end up kind of going around in circles in this level, because the blue key card isn't quite as obvious as it is in the original version of this level. But yeah, thank you for kind of hanging out with me there as I geeked out a little bit. So as we head in here, you'll see that again, this is not a new area entirely, it's just a reimagining of where the red door is. So it's no longer kind of on the actual track itself, it's actually in like a little inlet here, which, you know, kind of makes more sense. So the aim now is to head back to the blue keycard door and open it up. There's a few enemies who spawn in. One spawned in there. Sometimes he'll spawn in here, so they'll both spawn in here. It can be a bit random where that one turns up in the end. So we're going to head down here, and we're going to open up the gate here. Just want to make sure that we don't accidentally, you know, blow ourselves up here. We did just blow up that big poster on the wall there, but you can see there's some pretty fun posters on the wall here referencing movies and such. Clockwork Orange. You can see it's a lot lighter in here as well, so, you know, if you're here for the suspense, I don't think it's quite as suspenseful. I'm going to be really careful here because I don't want to accidentally kind of get overwhelmed by activating the second battle lord down there. That would be a really bad decision. grab the red key card. So the intention here is to head into this little alien base here. Again, this has actually made it across, which is pretty interesting. So if you hit the switch here, you can actually save the babes in this version, which is pretty nice.
Cool.
So obviously that'll hurt us. We can't save that one, unfortunately. She's in multiple pieces right now. I'm not going to bother activating that second battle lord because, to be honest, it's kind of a waste of ammo in my opinion. But you know it's there, and you know how that fight goes. So we're going to head down the tracks here. I'm going to open the red door here. Now, the interesting thing here is that this area is once again pretty much kind of untouched. So I'm not very good with using this weapon, I have to be honest. So as you can see, we got rid of the Battle Lord there.
Ready for action.
So one thing I don't like so much about the grenade launcher is that it doesn't sort of blow up on cracked walls like that. If you try and use it to sort of do that, the grenades will just kind of come back at you. But what we're going to do, we're going to quickly just look in here. I'm going to open this secret up here with all these lovely enemies inside. So if we head through here, you can see this comes back out onto that line with the moving tram or the moving subway cart. I'm going to save that babe there. So there's a few octo brains under the water here, just like in the PC version. And we've pretty much made it to the end of the level here. There's a lot to say about these levels, but Rabid Transit for me is such an interesting level to experience through the N64 version. You have to understand, when I'm playing through these levels on the N64, I'm playing these for the first time. I've never played the N64 versions of these levels. So, to me, seeing this alternate interpretation of this level that not only sort of takes the core ideas, but expands them and takes them in different directions and adds more to the level and increases the footprint while also building on the world of Duke Nukem 3D, I just love that. And the link with E1M2, great in my opinion, but there's also just the other stuff as well, making the subway station bigger, making it feel like a more lived in place. It's that kind of attention to detail that, you know, Eurocom didn't have to put into this version, but they clearly did, and the people that worked on this clearly wanted to take what was already a great level and just expand on it, and I just love that. And it was so much fun to just go around this level, seeing these familiar things just being kind of expanded and reinterpreted. Honestly, I really enjoyed this. This and Movie Set are probably my two favourite N64 levels thus far. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you prefer the PC version? Do you prefer the N64 version? Do you like the fact that they've added so much in? And thank you very much for watching.